welcome back to more Misfits Racing League action. It is finally time for Tier 2. We're here on a Wednesday, and of course joining me for all of the great action coming around, well, the circuit where it began for you and I, it's Unicorn, and we're here for the United States Grand Prix. How you doing today, Unicorn?
Yeah, Jeff, I'm excited. Like you say, the first track we ever commentated together, we had no idea who each other were, but here we are, nearly a year later, back here around COTA, and it's been quite a few races between then and here since we started commentating together, but hopefully the action is no less. In that race, we saw some rain drift, that first race we ever did together. Hopefully that gets replicated here today. Some rain here in Tier 2 would be much appreciated, but even if we don't, it's a very, very interesting and technical track here with a lot of fun and exciting corners around it.
That's right, it's the Circuit of the Americas, a 5.5 kilometer track distance with 20 turns. We're here in Austin, Texas, and as you said, we've seen rain here before. Of course, we saw the Tier 2 Americas division have rain through here this week. We saw the Tier 3 division yesterday, as well as the, of course, America's Tier 1 division last night. We take a look at the calendar. We are here for the 19th round of racing in Season 4. Next week, we move through to Mexico. Following that, the penultimate round in Brazil, and then the final round in Abu Dhabi. And what a season it's been, starting everything off in Albert Park, of course, Melbourne, Australia. What a 18 rounds we've had so far, and now we'll see how the 19th round unfolds here. Of course, massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. You can check them out via the link in the chat, and of course the panels down below on their great website, where you have an awesome view of all of their great products. They have motion sims, wheel stands, light rigs, full rigs, as well as accessories. Really take your racing to the next level. Now, as we say that, and as we move through, we look at the standings. Azir and Scars are in a championship bout right now, and Crampy is playing rear gunner for the Alfa Romeo squad just behind his teammate. Alfa Romeo off to a very strong lead in this constructors. Williams there in second with McLaren third. We have Swifty J in the driver standings for Red Bull there in fourth, with John and Husam having a solid season over at Haas. Now, we're coming through into the fourth last round of the season, and these championship rounds are going to really start to ramp up as we saw last season. We'll have to see how that pressure plays out for these racers through on the circuit. With that being said, Unicorn, we're just about ready to go rolling and racing here around the Circuit of the Americas, and I just cannot wait for that potential roll of the dice on weather. A lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It really does play a role. We haven't seen it all too much throughout the entire season here in MRL. We've had a lot of weeks where we've gone, without rain. And, you said it yesterday, we had it in America's Tier 2. We'll see whether we get it in regular Tier 2. We do have just about everyone. The only other person here will be arriving mid-qualifying, so they might get hit with that glitch, but scheduling conflicts do arise occasionally for our drivers, but that does mean that everyone else, all the other 19 drivers are hit, can get readied up, and we will be getting into that 18-minute qualifying session, where obviously we will get our weather report.
Speaking of scheduling conflicts, and I'm happy you made that remark, this weekend we do have a scheduling conflict with the Asian Pacific Division race, and there is currently a poll going around amongst the drivers to determine a potential rescheduling of that race, potentially a day ahead, to bypass any interruption with, of course, the official Azerbaijan Grand Prix this coming weekend. And I'm extremely excited to see another race week, of course, for Formula One this weekend, George, and I think you and I will have our work cut out for us on Saturday, where we will be taking part in a 100% distance Azerbaijan Grand Prix for the Endurance Series. That will be something to see, considering we just came out of a very, I'll use the term, unique Monaco race a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, Monaco, it was definitely an endurance race, maybe really taking a bit of a different definition of the word, but an endurance race it certainly was. Baku, similar in sort of the nature that there's close one, but there's a lot more overtaking opportunities. So like you say, definitely going to be action-packed. We're definitely going to have our work cut out on that evening. And it's very cloudy here in Kota. And I wonder whether that will translate to a wet race. I'm not seeing any raindrops right now in qualifying. But there's definitely a thick cloud above the track here in the USA. And we'll see how that translates into any intermediate tires. I don't think we'll see wets here in qualifying, given everyone's on softs right now. But hopefully we get a weather report coming through in just a few moments. But it's an exciting start, Striff.
Yeah, I like to see that overcast. It's not something we've had a lot of this weekend. Had a lot of sun here in Texas, and maybe this will be the day we get that rain to come down, and Freeware spoiling it for me. He has come through to officially say it is a dry campaign. Mark there also, one of the drivers on the grid there, who's come through to have some solid form in the last couple races. We'll see what he's able to do around the circuit of the Americas. There's a few drivers that love this circuit, and there's a few drivers that hate this circuit, and we'll just have to see where some of these racers land themselves. I feel like I'm a driver that doesn't fall on the liking circuit side of this one, but we'll just have to see how everybody fares here in this 18-minute qualifying session. It will be Tuptus, the first car out of the pit lane. I believe that's Hanners tight to his rear in a potential duel for that camera time.
Yeah, and Tuptus, he's had quite the run of qualifying form, and we'll see whether he can continue that here. First out of the pit lane, definitely got strong intent. You mentioned it there. This is a love or hate relationship most drivers have with this circuit, and one of the reasons for that, the track limits around here, very easy to pick up a penalty. Track warnings, that kind of thing, as Henners and Tuptus go side by side down into turn 11, and we're only in qualifying, but we'll be Henners starting, and he's already invalidated this outlap here, and that's something you got to take in mind into these qualifying when you're pushing, especially through that opening sector where you've got that fast flowing, 3, 4, 5 section into 6 and up into sector 2. It is easy to just stray all 4 wheels across the white line and invalidate your lap time, and that can make it a very annoying circuit to qualify around if you haven't nailed every single corner here in the USA. But it rewards hard work and it rewards practice, and I think that's why some people do like it. But we are just about ready for Henners to give it his first crack of the session.
Now watching the McLaren come through turn 19 now, the penultimate turn of this circuit. And one thing I want to take note of as we see him take his run across the line, well, Henners has just done something very horrible in that car. That is not what you want to be doing to start your session. He has no front wing now. Tuptus.
Yeah, definitely not how you want to start it.
We're back with the Racing Point. Tuptus now coming through turn 2. And what I was going to say is one driver on the grid we're seeing in a reserve capacity making a return is Mr. Hurricane. He is in 16th position. And, of course, Hurricane, formerly a full-time driver in this division for Ferrari. Good to see the Hungarian back, and he'll be taking up a reserve seat over at Williams today.
Yeah, very quick driver. We'll see what he can produce here, and someone we've seen plenty of times. Tuptus on his flight coming down that long back straight, the second of 2. DRS straights down into turn 12 and getting it nicely done through there, and it's very easy on the throttle here coming through into the final sector. This is a very technical bit of track here, the late apex here as he comes down through into turn 15, and just all of this is about nailing it here. Again, another apex as he comes through the long right hander, 17 into 18. Now the last 2 corners, 19. Where is he going to put himself as he comes through the final corner? We saw Henners have a little bit of a slip through here, and we're going to see Tuptus do a similar thing. Keeps it out of the wall, but it's a 130.1 for Tuptus. We'll see whether he can improve upon that. That slide through the final corner wasn't exactly ideal. Mark beats it by 0.2, so 129.9. But that last corner strip, it's causing some problems.
Mark scars that 29.555 provisional pole. Mark in that second position. Pavel now coming through into second, and I agree with you without a doubt. That exit out of turn 20 That final turn is really presenting some of these drivers with a bit of a shake, and that could be very bad once tire wear starts to set in for a few of these racers through the race. Of course, you're not going to have nearly as much traction. Max O'Connor coming through turn 18 right now. More times coming through as Mammal, third quickest. We've got SMM Ben here in 5th position. XTXP is through. XTXP at 33.085. He ran it on the mediums. John into 3rd position. Here comes Max O'Connor. He goes 9th at 30.668. One thing to talk about XTXP, I talked to him, I want to say it was last week. He came to me very early and he just said, I just want you to know, for the United States, I'm going to be top 10 in qualifying. I don't know about the race, but I'm going to be top 10 in qualifying. Then he came to me earlier today, and XTXP is a great friend of mine, and then he started to backpedal. He says, I got a new rim. I don't know. 12th position for the Renault right now. He's on those mediums. We'll see what he's able to do. I don't know if it'll be that top 10 that he originally wanted, or if it will be the out of the top 10 that he's anticipated now that he's got that new rim, but we'll see if he's able to surprise himself. Eruption on a flyer now. Getting a cheeky toe here. Look at Max O'Connor just ahead of him. The Mercedes crew getting some toe action in as we come through to 12, Unicorn.
Yeah, great to see. That long back straight there really lends itself well to a great toe. And I'm sure we'll see more of that, tonight, later on. Particularly maybe the two Alfa Romeos. I wouldn't be surprised to see Scars and Crampy do something similar. They've been working well all season long. We've got a lot of these duos now emerging around their morale that have really just gelled well over the course of the season, have really started to work well together, and you love to see it. We're in the final month of racing now, really, with just 4 rounds to go, including this one. Eruption now coming through the final corner. We'll see what that has done for his lap. The toe, when it goes P1 at 129.424, 1/10 clear of Scars. And for the Mercedes driver, that is huge. So we'll see if anyone can beat him, but right now the top spot belongs to him and him alone. Interesting enough, Azir, he hasn't set a lap time yet. Championship leader coming into this. Pretty strong lead with only 4 rounds to go, but he needs to continue to score points to stop the man in P2 right now, Scars, from overtaking him in that standing. Probably the closest championship fight we've had, or will have, going into the final few races, and it could be one that ends in Abu Dhabi Striff in a few weeks' time.
Very well could be. No one on an active flyer at the moment. Excuse me. Swifty has just begun a flyer, the Red Bull driver. Great to see Swifty. He's been having some good results driving in the Red Bull this season. Well, more recently, I feel as though, but he has had an up and down season.
Yeah, Swifty, absolutely. It's been a roller coaster for him. He has been so consistent. He is a consistent driver. Someone been around for a long time here in MRL. Very, very quick. Just hasn't had some good fortune in races where it really looked like it was going up for the Red Bull. Really looking to score some strong points, and it wasn't long. He took a while for him to get that podium, that first one, but we did see it. And he sits P4 in the standings overall, and there's quite a jump between the top 3 and the rest of the grid, but he is sort of best of the rest, if you want to call it that, so far here in Tier 2. And he's just been scoring strong points, hasn't been out of them too many. The last 3 races, though, haven't gone his way. He hasn't scored points since Belgium, so Swifty, he needs to score some strong points here as he slides a little bit as he comes out of turn 15. A lot of unsettled cars, Striff, and I get that that's, you want a low downforce to really take advantage of those straights, but that's why this track is particularly interesting to watch a race around, because you need to get that balance, because there's also a lot of corners that require a great setup for cornering. Swifty, he goes 5th fastest at 129.870, just ahead of Mammal, a couple tenths off of Jean's best time. That sits in 4th place behind Pavel.
Up to us, a potential pole sitter at the end of this session here. Will be looking to come through, of course. He's in 11th on the time in tower, 30.1, the best run from him so far. He's coming through into sector 2, turn 11, the hairpin. And I think he is the lead flying driver at present.
Well, Hennes, after we saw him destroy his front wing on his first attempt, he's now invalidated his second attempt, so Not a great evening so far for the McLaren driver. He'll be looking to get at least one run in at some point in the session.
Starting laps. A good chunk of the drivers on the grid now on the move. We can see the out laps and a good chunk of drivers without any indicator next to them, which is usually an indicator for us that they are flying. Now top tuss into 19. Low fuel light on as he comes through turn 20. The final turn now to round out this lap. We're 7.5 minutes remaining. DRS wide open. It's good for fourth. A 29.580 coming out of the racing point. Henner's is on his way in.
Just seen Larson. He wasn't invalidated. Just wasn't happy with his lap, so he's chosen to go again here. Also, what the AlphaTauri could do, but he's yet to set a time either. As well as a couple other drivers. Crampy, he's flying, and he's also not set a time in that Alfa Romeo. P3 in the standings. And he'll be looking for a good result here to just sort of solidify his position in that top three. As he comes through the final sector, his teammate not too far behind, and no teamwork coming out of the Alfa Romeos right now, it would appear, Striffen. Not something you'd expect necessarily around a track like this. So we saw the team Mercedes have a great tow earlier, and Crampy, well, there it is. P2, he doesn't need a great tow. Just
nice
half a tenth off. Scars, his teammate, he's coming through the final sector. He's up on his time, and right now it'd be about level with Crampy, just ahead, so he should improve and go back into P2 at the very least. I expect this to be provisional pole though, and it is a 129.285. Great amount of time found through that final sector for the Alfa Romeo. Right now, Eruption, who was the lead man moments ago, he's about to start another flyer in his Mercedes.
Rozier in the Williams, checking in with him coming through out of turn 11. That hairpin in sector 2 is on an invalidated run here. No battery being deployed at present, and it seems that he is struggling in this session to get a time on this tower, and this is not what he wants to be doing. Larsen, it appears he didn't get a time through either, and that's not good. Henners is now on an outlap. Yara Santiago, he has also been struggling, and he has really flown out of that 19th turn into the pit lane now. So many drivers on flyers or on in-laps now at this stage. We saw Mammal. He just jumped Angel as Angel went 7th in the Red Bull. Let's see if we can find somebody else on a flyer. Eruption, of course, coming down sector 2.
Well, Aziz hopped it back into the pit lane, and he wasn't really, his qualifying hasn't been the best this season up until, Russia, where he picked up his first pole position. It sort of seemed he stepped it up last week, P4 in qualifying. Well, I asked Scars when he got that pole, does this worry you? Qualifying's always sort of been your domain, as we're seeing right now. He's on that provisional pole, but it doesn't seem that Aziz, he always seems to leave it to the last minute. Doesn't seem to get great bankers in. It's always just all or nothing. Eruption, not happy with his lap. He swings it into the pits.
John, 29.655, the Haas driver, is coming through turn 18 now. We'll see what he's able to do. There's going to be a Red Bull starting a lap. That's Swifty, currently 9th on this timing tower. Here comes John out of 20. There it is. P2 for the Haas around their home circuit at 29.386. Very, very nicely done from him. We saw Maka win this race in Tier 3 yesterday for Haas, so we've been having a good week thus far. Ooh, Henners has had a very bad week. We saw him come out of turn 20. He was very fortunate not to crash that car terminally. He did crash it. Now he comes out of turn 1, and there is a McLaren unicorn out of this qualifying session right now. Henners is done.
And no time set on the board either, so there's not really a worse time to do it. There's not a great time to crash out of qualifying, but at least if you've got a strong lap time set to at least get you sort of middle of the pack. Henners, it's not the case. He hasn't got a single time set here, so he will be starting absolutely dead last here. And that is very, very unfortunate for the McLaren driver. He's got a lot of work cut out here to do. It is a track you can overtake at, but not something you want to be relying on. As we see Swifty, he's on for a pretty strong improvement here. This could see him jump at least into sort of the top 7. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a top 5 time though from the Red Bull, depending on how he stitches together this final sector as he goes back into the pit lane. So not happy with it, it would seem. And he dives back in just in time to get one final run out in, you know, the last 3 minutes on our clock, probably more like 4 for the drivers because of that desync that the clock does have.
Husam in the Haas. He's on a flyer coming into Sector 2. Just ahead of him, he has Ben in that Ferrari pulling off to the inside. Ben on an outlap right now. See what Husam is able to do. Saw him battling quite well, if memory serves, in, was it Russia? He had a very dynamic drive. Was it last week? I can't recall now, but we've seen Husam up and down this grid through the season, and he is a very capable driver, as is seen through his time improved in Sector 2, nearly a second. Bit of a snap coming through 14, now 15. Let's see. The Haas coming through 16, 17, and 18.
Yeah, I do believe he said that last time on the medium tires. We'll see what he's capable of doing on the softs here. As you say, he's now coming through the final corner. And there is P8. Not his best qualifying, but certainly up there in terms of one of his best results.
There's Santiago on another invalidated run here. Barzin. It would appear he is either on a lap where we'll see him start again at the end because he's not pushing, or he's just not happy with it.
Yeah, and at this point in time, you can't really get too picky with your laps. You've got to just get one set. If you haven't got one with just over a minute to go in the session, Scars, well, he's currently got the best lap time set. He's going again in the Alfa Romeo. His teammate, Crampy, all the way out on another flyer, going down the back straight. So Noto again for the Alfa Romeo squad. Very, very peculiar. I expected to see it from them. He's up by a 10th, though, it would seem, as he comes out of Sector 1. So will we see him go sub 129? It's possible here, as his teammate, he's on a flyer as well. He's up a 10th too, so he can see himself go into that second position, and Alfa Romeo front row lockout. We'll see whether they can do that this evening, but they've definitely got competition. Jean, Eruption, they're up there. We've got Pavel on an outlap, Tuptus, Mammal, they're flying. So a lot of competition for the pair of them. Crampy rounds the final corner. He's going to be the first to set the lap time in his pole position. Provisionally a 129.153. Can his teammate beat that? He's on to do it. Not quite on for that sub 129 time right now, but we saw him gain through Sector 3 on his last attempt. Can he do it once more as he comes through the double right-hander? 17 flowing into 18 now in the Alfa Romeo. Fuel light is blinking. You can see all of the guys behind them on outlaps, getting ready through the final corner. Comes the South African. Can he take provisional pole from his teammate? Yes, he can. It's a 128.970.
What a
he
lap.
goes under the 129 bar. And that's a lot of work, Jeff, for the other drivers in this division.
Top Tuss edges ahead of Crampy here into the front row, and he will separate the two Alfa Romeos. But what a qualifying it's been for these three. We'll see if Jean, who's just begun, or Eruption, or any of this top 10 can really jump themselves in there. Everybody extremely capable. Eruption is on a flyer. Jean is on a flyer. Mark, well, it would appear he just came through into 6th position at 29.498. Unless he had an invalidation, I'm not entirely sure, as we were looking at the top 3.
Yeah, Zir now, he's getting a teammate, a toe off of his teammate. He's already got the teammate. That's, of course, Hurricane, the reserve driver who we've seen before. And this is one shot. He has got this and this attempt only to dethrone his rival in Scars. He's only been on pole position once before. That was in Russia. We'll see whether he can do it here in the States as well. The Spaniard now coming through into Sector 3. He hasn't got a time that he's got to beat in terms of his previous best. The rival time, though, 128.9. It's a monster lap from Scars. Tuptus as well. Someone
Pavel,
who has had a stellar qualifying.
Pavel goes 6th. Azir now. This is crucial. He needs that time on the board. Well, that's pretty good for him. 4th for Azir here. 29.273 Unicorn, and at least it's It's better than nothing. He had no time on the board, and he gets through with a 29.273. John comes through just to edge ahead of him. What a margin there.
Yeah, and that's it for qualifying eruption. He invalidated his last run in the Mercedes, and he was on provisional pole at one point in this session, so maybe there was more to give in that Mercedes, but we're not going to see that, as he has now obviously ended up qualifying. We do have that order. Scars in first. Championship leader Azir down in 5th place. Again, strong qualifying for Scars. Both he and Azir very, very capable, you know, of just closing down gaps. Really, I think we saw a great recovery drive from Scars last week in Japan, when we saw him 20th on the first lap of the race, all the way back up into P2. But Azir, he's the one with the advantage. He's the one who's not doing all the chasing. It's all on Scars to close down the points to the championship leader.
This is a very tight grid.
Good on.
This is a very tight grid and a circuit where DRS can play a role, and if you lose the train, you might get caught out, and there's also potential for safety car. Such a dynamic circuit. You and I have seen many races around here now. Look at this. Look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Alfa Romeo Racing driver, the South African Scars, on pole position, a 28.970. The only driver in the session to go sub 129 is Tuptus in the Racing Point. Will join him on the front row, just over a tenth on the rear of the South African here in the qualifying. A 29.091 was the best run from him. With Crampy, the other Alfa Romeo, rounding out your top 3 with a 29.153. You have Jean there in 4th with Azir in 5th. And of course, we'll get on through the rest of this grid. On the formation lap, Henners at the rear of the grid. No time set from him. We saw him with a couple of unfortunate incidents around this circuit. One out of turn 20 and then another out of turn 1. The second incident, unfortunately, resulting in terminal damage. That is going to wrap up qualifying. And now here we go, jumping into the 19th round of the Tier 2 division here for MRL Season 4. My name is Stryfium here from Canada. Joining me is Unicorn from the UK, of course. Massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. You can check them out via the link in the chat, or of course down via the panels below. Their great website, nextlevelracing.com, for some amazing sim racing rigs, motion sims, wheel stands, light rigs. They really have everything you need to take your racing to the next level. So exclamation NLR in the chat, and we'd greatly appreciate it if you can help us out in hitting that link and checking out some of their stuff. Now, 15 seconds counting down. Unicorn, you ready for this?
I am, Striff. This is going to be incredible. Fun fact for you, Striff. This is the first time Azir will start on the 3rd row of the grid. He has never started there before. He started on all of the other rows of the grid in the top 10, if you qualify. But he's never started on the 3rd row. So, from the Spaniard, 5th place, a little bit new for him. But Scars, his championship rival, leads. So Azir, maybe a new experience. It won't be one he's particularly thrilled with in the Williams. But there we are. Fun little factoid. Scars, P1, Tuptus. He's been very, very strong in qualifying over the last 4 weeks. Now he starts 2nd. Continues his run over the last 5 weeks now. He's been in the top 4. Crampy in the other Alfa Romeo, sandwiching Tuptus in between the two. He starts 3rd ahead of Jean, who's clinging on to that final place in the top 5 in the standings. Azir, championship leader, he's in 5th. Eruption behind him in 6th. Maybe some pace trap there. We saw him very fast in the mid portion of that qualifying session, invalidating his final run. Pavel behind him. Mark in 8th. Mammal starts 9th in the only McLaren in the points right now. Ben in the Ferrari. He starts 10th. Both Ferraris in the points right now. Obviously, Ben here in a reserve capacity. Angel starts 11th in the Red Bull. Husam in 12th. Hurricane, he makes a return here in a reserve capacity as well. In the Williams in 13th. Swifty behind him. Then we have the 2 Renaults. Atom there, a reserve as well, with XXP behind him, not getting that top 10 that you said he was pretty confident earlier in the week that he would get. He's down in 16th. Max O'Connor starts 17th. Yar Santiago, another reserve here. Didn't get a time set in the qualifying, if I'm not mistaken, so he starts 18th. Penn is in 19th, saved from the bottom of the grid after that qualifying crash, or both of them, by Larsen, who I do believe joined late in the session and got thrown to the rear of this grid. Looking at the tires, and well, you can see a lot of mediums outside that top 10, with the only person on the softs, Atom, there in 15th place in the reserve capacity for the Renault squad. But everyone else outside the top 10 on mediums. All of the drivers in the top 10, of course, on the softs. No hards in sight. And no rain forecast either, Shift. It's very, very sunny here in comparison to qualifying here in Texas.
Well, here we go. All the drivers now getting their positions on this starting grid. It will be Larsen bringing out the rear on the rear of Henners, the McLaren. These two are your 10th row on this grid, and we'll just have to see how everybody gets off the line here. I've seen Henners with some amazing rocket launches here in the States, but of course it's 3, 4, 5 red lights in Texas. The engines are revving, a little bit of desync, but the lights are out and we are away racing here. Who's got the best launch off the line? Tuftus with a great launch ahead of Scars here. The Alfa Romeo not able to do anything about that racing point just yet. Very tight through turn 1 there. The Ferrari, oh, who's this? He's gone around. Jean has had a bit of contact there. He's been collected with Mammal on the start here. Hurricane and Husam, they have exchanged. And that might be a safety car. I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't look like there was any terminal damage there. Everybody navigating through this first sector of the circuit. Husam still very tight in this grid to the car ahead of him, Ben. We saw Pavel, of course, the other Ferrari. Here goes Ben now up the inside of Angel, looking into the hairpin, turn 11. Ben now pushing through here with everything he's got. Angel has these mediums. Fronts to rears here. Ben's going to have that inside for a moment, but he's pushing away. Here's Husam. Very intense racing here already on the opening lap. The Ferrari through on Angel. Angel now under threat.
Yeah, and side by side with Santiago. So Santiago, he tried the inside on Swifty down into turn 12, not finding a way through. Making the McLarens as well. Mammal at the start, he gave the position back to Jean. They went 3 wide into turn 1. Didn't quite work out for them. I think Mammal realized he was on the outside of all of that. Conceded the position, whether it was his fault or not, well, that's up to the stewards to decide if it does get reported. But nice to see some sportsmanship of Mammal there, trying to take into consideration Azir. He had a great start off the line, wasn't quite able to capitalize, gets up 1 place, of course, but for the Spaniard, strong start. He's got cramp in his sights right now. Scars as well. He lost out to top. That's what a great start he had.
We're coming through sector 1, and this could get dicey. Hurricane on the rear, the Hungarian driver. We know he's capable. Husam's dropping off a little bit, finding a little bit of an issue in those mediums. Here comes TRT Adam around the outside. A little bit of a tap, a little bit of contact and a slide. He gets it under control. He moves through on the Williams.
And there's Swifty as well. He's looking for the move, and he's going around the outside down into 11. Carrying a little bit less speed through the outside, but he's got a much better exit than the Williams as Yar Santiago and Henners, they're exchanging behind. It's the racing point on the outside. No DRS yet on lap 2, of course, but Yar Santiago, he doesn't need it. He's got a great kerosene. He's burnt off so much battery, but he's going on the launch of both the Williams and the Red Bull here, down on the inside of turn 12. Don't think he's got the exit to get Swifty, as he's later on the brakes, down on the outside of 13, and it's still side by side. And Swifty just about defends, but he's got now the racing point on the inside as they swing round through 15. And this is some great racing we're seeing just outside of the points, but Swifty manages to hold on to Yar Santiago, who's burnt off a good 50% of his battery already, Striff. He is really looking to make use of that battery in the early stages of this race.
He's just picked up a 3-second time penalty. He's just taken a 3-second time penalty after all of that, coming out of the penultimate turn. Hurricane on the rear of Henners. I think I smell a move here. I don't know. We might see it through sector 1. Hurricane. He can do a lot of different stuff here, the Hungarian driver. Max O'Connor, wheel to wheel with Larsen, has picked up a penalty, and that's not good for his race.
Yeah, I said it in qualifying. It's so easy to pick up a penalty here that picking one up early on is not something you want to do, because you have no idea what sort of battles you're going to get. And we just saw Yar Santiago and Swifty go side by side nearly all the way through sector 3. And that's the kind of battle that can force you to pick up a warning. If you've got a penalty already to your name and you have a few fights like that, as Azir, Yeah, looking at the inside of Crampy, and well, DRS making this one very, very easy. Down on the inside he goes as Crampy. No DRS on Scars to defend from that move.
Yeah, this is going to present a little bit of an issue, I think, for these two Alfa Romeos. If Crampy is dropping off of the rear of his teammate, it could also be planned, but Azir is within that DRS range.
Yeah, Azir got through too quickly. If that was the idea, to sort of hold him up behind Crampy. It's not worked out here for them. Got Eruption behind him as well. Crampy hasn't had the best pace here on the start of the race. And we're just crossed onto lap 4 now, and he's really struggling. It would seem Eruption burning some battery. Crampy's nearly out. He's on single digits already. Eruption has a much better ERS advantage. Lunges up the inside here into turn 1.
Oh!
If you like, little bit of contact between the two.
Well, Eruption came off of that curb right into the line in front of Crampy, and Crampy just, there was nothing he could do. That Mercedes was right in front of the Alfa Romeo, and I think Crampy was like, how did he get there that quick? And I think there was just a little bit of a slide off the rear of that Mercedes. And the placement when the car found the grip on the circuit was just perfect. That's how it looked, at least from this end. And we've got more action happening for the final points paying position, as it is a soft runner in TRT Atom. Not Daniel Munoff, of course, from Tier 3, but a different Atom we have in the MRL now, as he's moving through looking for a potential point here. Sam, of course, in the train on the rear of Angel. But the soft runner wanting to move through Pavel, as you say.
Crampy as well.
Crampy, something has happened with this setup for Crampy. Maybe he put too much wear on these tires through the qualifying session compared to these other drivers. Maybe it's just a question of the degradation. Maybe we see him come in early, try a different strategy. Here's Santiago Swifty. They're exchanging in their favorite section of circuit here. Sector 3 now through 15. Swifty's on the rear of the racing point.
Crampy, he's been burning ERS. He's getting, he's into that single digit sort of range. Running out, now, and that just lends it, even with the, the DRS now, he's not catching Pavel. He must be running some seriously high wings into comparison to the other drivers. We've seen people, a few twitchy setups, obviously we saw Hennes crash out in qualifying. His setup's working quite nicely here in the race. He's up to P14 already, some great moves from him. He's trapped behind this battle over P12 between Yars Santiago and Swifty, which you just mentioned. And when you can see the effect that Crampy's had, that 1 second gap where it was a break between first and second is now, a break between third and fourth. And I think we're going to see that change to a break between maybe even fifth and sixth here. So Crampy definitely off the pace right now, and we'll see what he can do in the second half of this race. But right now at the start, very, very much struggling for the guy in third in the championship.
Up to Scars now. Here's an exchange for the lead as Scars, jumps in front of the racing point. And this is where he started the race now, the Alfa Romeo, wanting that pole position, that lead of this race back. Sam, Angel, Sam through turn 13, 14 now, 15. This is going to be huge. Sam on the inside. It's very tight between these two drivers, and this fighting is going to cost them to the Ferrari ahead. They can't sit here too long. 2.2, 2.3 is the gap, and growing. Sam is still here. Atom behind in that Renault. Well, he'll be looking to take advantage on these softs if this carries through out of turn 20. That's for sure. Look at this. He's already on the rear of the Haas as he comes out. He's got that DRS, the battery, full utilization. Now Sam looking at Angel. Nothing doing for either of these drivers. Henner's on the rear of Yar Santiago. A big lunge into turn 1. He is going to get that through. Yar Santiago with a switchback opportunity. Henner's gets it into 13th position as we come through turn 2 and 3 now. In through the S's section. Angel just ahead, takes 3 seconds. Oh man, this is great racing, as Henner's is going to look to catch up with Swifty as quickly as he can.
Yeah, I'll tell you something else as well. He's been catching Tuptus here, and like I said, the gap, that 1 second window, the break in the DRS change has gone down to 5th and 6th here. Pavel and Eruption, they're coming for the top 3 right now. They're looking to join the fight for the podium positions. We saw Scars exchange with Tuptus about a lap ago. Now, Azir, he's looking to take the racing point as well. And with the pace he's got right now, the Williams could very much be on for the move very, very soon. Larson getting nice and close to Hurricane down into turn 12. Not quite getting the move done there. There is a lot of fighting on this alternate strategy. The medium runners right now really fighting amongst themselves. It's not necessarily what you want to be doing, because the more you fight here, the more, or the bigger the gap between you and the soft runners in that first pit window. Obviously, the second pit window will be for this alternate medium soft strategy rather than the soft medium.
We have Husam hunting down Angel. That gap right now, 2.6. You have Angel outside of that DRS range, one of these trains. And of course, you have Crampy outside of the DRS of Pavel. Mark and Ben, they want to move through. Big question is going to come through when these drivers start to jump on to their different strategies. Once the pit stops start coming through, we're going to see some undercuts surely here, or at the very least some undercut attempts, and we'll just have to see how that plays out with traffic, because of course we had half this grid start on the 9 drivers start on these mediums. The gap to leader right now from first all the way down to 18th position, where Max O'Connor is presently sitting as 19.4 seconds. XTXP and Mammal have already come in for pit stops in this race.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays into things now, as Mark, he's been closing on Crampy, and here he goes. You gotta say, that move looks like it's been boiling up for a while with the lack of DRS for Crampy, and that straight line speed has really been hindering him so far. And like you said, where maybe we see him go for an alternate strategy, but even there, misses the apex down into turn 13. So struggling Hurricane, Larson, they exchange. Hurricane losing out big time coming out of the corner. So I wonder whether a bit of a mistake there for the Williams driver.
Yeah, he was quite late out of that turn. You can see the gap, about 7/10, which isn't something you want to be losing in a wheel-to-wheel exchange out of a turn. Azir, his train for lead of this race is massive, and it's been so tight for the entire 7 laps of full running we've had all throughout this grid. Despite just a couple groups, we have 3 seconds of separation from Mark to the front 5, and there's a little bit of a train behind him, and a bit of separation to Angel, and we have another train. Just trains in this grid. And the thing is, no matter where you are right now, no matter where you are, if you make a mistake, and we've seen it all season long, Unicorn, but if you make a mistake in this grid, you're the back of the bus.
Yeah, it will be punished. You know, you just have to look at Jean. You know, not necessarily his mistake, but lap 1 comes off. He hasn't even pitted, and he's all the way down in 17th place. So for him, that just goes to show, obviously the grid was, you know, super tight at the start of the race, obviously, as Eruption, Azir, side-by-side championship leader, under a little bit of pressure here as Ben, he gets Crampy, and Crampy, he is struggling. He even had DRS and was pushing with the ERS on Mark down into turn 1. This couldn't get the move on the AlphaTauri. He is really struggling for straight line speed. Henners, he picks off Swifty as they go side-by-side. McLaren versus the Red Bull, and Swifty... I think he's got him now. I don't think Swifty can get up the inside there through 15, but it looked like Swifty had an opportunity to come back. Wasn't able to get that car squeezed in, get the acceleration on the corner that he needed, but Swifty's been battling a lot, Swift, and through that final sector, a lot of corners there. His tires, they'll probably be feeling it a little bit, and they'll be struggling as he's still ahead of Yas Santiago, who we saw his battle with earlier. Ben on the rear of Mark, he's sticking for it up the inside. Crampy wasn't able to get it last lap. Ben, this lap, much more capable on the straight line speed. A little bit of contact. Mark a little bit squirrely out of the first corner, and Crampy sweeps back past around the outside, coming in through turn 2. And Crampy, you may be struggling for straight line speed as he picks up a 3-second time penalty. It's been a bad race. Now it's getting even worse for Crampy as he picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's the first of the soft runners to do so, and this is not boding well for him, Striff, for the end of this race.
This has been a thrilling campaign here. We're on lap 9, soon to be on lap 10, and of course we're going to see pit stops start to come through for the majority of the soft runners very soon. Here comes Mark. Crampy does not have any straight line, even with that DRS on the car ahead. Look at Mark. A little bit of a lunge. Does he get it? Does he coast it through? Does he get this move through turn 12? It's wheel to wheel on the exit. Crampy right now holding on the inside as we come through 13. This is a battle and a half, ladies and gentlemen, that we are seeing unfold here. Right behind them, Angel and Husam are also doing the tango, and there is Husam in 9th position in that Haas right now, ahead of the Spanish driver. Angel pushing through on the inside of 16 and 17 is going to pick up a 3-second time penalty for his troubles. He's still with the Haas on the exit out of 19. He's very far on the outside here. All right, pit stop's coming through. Look at this. We had 3 drivers just flying to the pits, and it's Ben, Crampy, and Mark. Look at Angel and Husam go into turn 1. Angel with a very big lockup on the front left. Oh, Husam and Angel are having an absolute duel, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and this is not good news for Angel. He is on 12 seconds of penalties already, Striff, and we're not even halfway. If he keeps going at this rate, he's going to land himself with nearly 30 seconds of penalties. So he really needs to start looking at, rather than just pushing lap after lap for, what is now 6th place. As here comes the Haas on the inside into turn 11, and that's past the DRS detection zone. So Angel won't even have DRS here to defend against the move. He's pushing with the ERS, but the rear wings popped open on that Haas in front of him, and that is just stopping the Red Bull from coming back past. Atom there behind. He's on soft switch at 80.
Oh!
A lot of movement as they go down into the hairpin, and he lunges out the inside. He's got past the Haas. Can he make the move hold? You can see that Atom looking on after all of this. Husam there is 7th place. Isn't able to find a response to the Red Bull now. And these two really going tooth and nail with one another. And what a fight we are seeing here. This mid-pack shift, these medium runners, they are giving us something to remember this race by.
Most definitely. Scars is here into the pit lane now. Tuptus has stayed out, and all of this battling is just bringing the entirety of this grid closer together. We see Atom in the Renault out in the distance, flying into that pit lane to get off the softs as well. He knows this is bad news to be fighting with all of these medium runners now. Here we go. Husam looking for a move up the inside of Angel. He's doing exactly what Angel did to him last time through here. Very clean coming out of the Haas. Look at Husam into 2nd position. The Spaniard, does he have an answer?
Well, like you say, Husam, oh my goodness, it's got a little line here, and then Angel just trying to shove it up the inside. Very, very lucky to keep that car pointing in the right direction. Husam, he's moving in. Husam with a big slide. He's struggling right now through this opening section. And Angel, well, he won't need an invitation to take that move. And Yar Santiago on the rear of all this, looking on with eager eyes as he comes through now, through into turn 11. Angel, little bit sliding, coming out of turn 11. Husam's on with DRS there. But Yar Santiago's got it as well. Angel could lose 2 positions as he fights down into turn 12. With the Haas, it's 3 wide here. Yar Santiago on the outside. Husam on the inside, Angel in between the two, and they both go deep. Yar Santiago looked for the switchback, lost traction, and headers sweeps into 4th place to pick up the pieces where the Racing Point left off. Hennes now, what a race it's been for him. He started absolutely dead, well, 19th because of Larson, but it's been a great race. Hurricane, Swifty, they're side by side, and it's Swifty. He's been doing so much action and involved in all of the battling through this final sector. He moves up into 7th place. Tuptus, he finally finds his way into the pit lane. But my goodness, these guys, they have been going at it since the start of the race, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon, Striff.
This has been absolutely beautiful to watch. We have seen so much tight racing here in this Tier 2 division. We absolutely love to see it, and it's really setting us up. These final races of the season through all of these divisions, Unicorn, they present us with such excitement at the end of these seasons, and they give us so much to look forward to, of course, coming through in Season 5 on F1 2021. Husam, Angel, they've been having an absolute duel. Larson is in the equation on the rear of Yar Santiago. The entirety of this front 7 is locked in within a second of one another all the way down. You love to see it. There's penalties in this grid. Hurricane has just taken 3 seconds. As we look at the penalties, Yar Santiago with a very, very large amount. Angel with 15 seconds as well. A few of these drivers really struggling with penalties, but what a race. What a race and what a campaign this has been here. We're only 12 laps in. Here comes Scars. Scars, well, he was leading this race. He's looking at Hurricane. There's a big tire differential. Hurricane moving off to the inside. There's just nothing for this Williams to do against the driver like Scars on the fresh tires. He needs to move through this traffic.
I was going to bring your attention to Scars. He was 2 seconds ahead of Azir there, coming out of turn 11. And that's a pretty strong lead for the South African. He needs to clear this traffic, though. If he gets held up, he will be in big trouble, because this is where Azir could close with Eruption as well. Eruption and Azir, though, if they get caught in a fight between themselves, Scars can start to run away with this, and it can be very, very strong for him. And a 3-second gap here, if he can get that, is very, very useful, because if you do end up picking up one of those penalties, which we've seen so many drivers do already, gives you a nice buffer. Here he goes now on Swifty, down towards turn 1 again. DRS, the carrier speed out of the corner, those fresh tires afford him, and up the inside into turn 1. He's
nice.
really making short work of these guys. And Azir, he's still off the back of Hurricane. Yeah. And he needs to get DRS down into turn 12. Otherwise, he's going to really struggle to close that gap to Scars.
Well, the big thing for me here, and the key indicator here, and the key factor I want to bring up, is that we saw Hurricane pull off to the inside on Scars, give no defense, no fight whatsoever to that Alfa Romeo. We know Hurricane's here in a pirate seat. He isn't the official teammate over at Williams, but at the very least, he had Azir, his teammate for the session, on the rear as well. I think what could have happened there, had it been, let's say, Aliens, well, we could have seen the Williams maybe try and hold up that Alfa Romeo. Here we go. Scars now making another move, and this, well, the potential championship winner here, is he has this great championship battle with Azir going on. Scars right now, he's doing everything he needs to do to separate himself from the championship leader of Azir.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Hurricane, we saw him give a tone to Azir now, but you know, in qualifying, I think now he's running his own race. He knows that if he'd have battled Azir, a huge snap, an eruption, he's going to take advantage around the outside, coming through 17 and 18. And I said, if these guys get involved in a battle, which surely they do now, Striv, this is brilliant news for Scars.
Scars, ladies and gentlemen, if you aren't up to date on the championship, is behind Azir. And we have a championship battle that will more than likely, given how this race is sitting right here, that will more than likely go down to Abu Dhabi, which is absolutely fantastic. Scars, the South African, in 5th. Too.
Didn't quite get the run into turn 1, but that Racing Point hungry for positions, and you know, just because Azir and Scars are leading the championship doesn't, you know, automatically make every other driver concerned about that. Just because they're not fighting in the championship, they're fighting here in the race for points, and Azir now, he's in the thick of things, and he needs to try and get out.
This is huge for her. Eruption. Hurricane right now. Here he is putting up a defense. Huge
defense. Time to Azir.
Well, this has provided Azir a launch. Look at this. The Spanish driver through now on the Mercedes, clear as day. Just ahead, there's more overtaking and exchanging. Henners and Angel. Look at this Eruption and Azir. There's so much, we can't focus on all of it, but Azir now, he gets through on Eruption. Tuptus is through on Hurricane, and that's massive for the Racing Point. Angel right on the rear of Henners, getting himself involved in this battle that we've seen between, of course, Angel and Husam. Look at the gap from Henners to Husam. Husam is really taking control of that position he's in right now on these mediums, breaking away very nicely. 1.7 and increasing potentially. We might see that drop now that Henners has moved through on the Spaniard. Not sure, but they all have a problem. And that Scars continuing to pound through this grid and just make up time on all of this traffic. And where's Azir? Well, he's just overtaken Swifty through turn 1.
Scars is being held up right now by this battle with Henners and now they come together. They're both off into the inside.
Oh no!
Henners has crashed out. We saw it in qualifying.
Oh my! This is so dangerous. VSC has been deployed. Henners is out, and this is now the second time we've seen that McLaren go terminal damage. We saw it in qualifying. Not sure how it happened on my end here, but Henners now in that McLaren after, I have to say, a solid drive, Unicorn. He was driving very well. He made up a ton of positions, but he is now out of this race around the Circuit of the Americas, and it's VSC deployment on lap 15. But what a race it's been here.
Some awesome overtakes for the McLaren driver. They were just side by side coming out of turn 1 through turn 2, and then as they come into those, you know, twisty section of turn 1, sector 1,
Eruption.
Side by side, clip the front.
Oh, he's on the inside of Swifty right now. We're coming out of the VSC. So many drivers with a few penalties. More overtaking just ahead. Oh my God, Larsen and Azir through into 15. Larsen with the lunge up the inside. holding that position for now. A switchback for the Spaniard, and there it is for him. He's leading through 16, now through 17. Azir still in 4th position. He is going to hold that into the penultimate turn. We'll see if Larsen has anything crafty for him.
Well, that incident has been absolutely perfect for Azir. It cost Scars so much time. He had to slam on the brakes and just turn right, get out of the way, because it happened right in front of him. And now what was a 2-second lead after the pit stop is now a 7/10 lead, which gives Azir DRS, provided he's there in the detection zone. As Arnel, I think he's
in the pit lane. So he's not happy with that at all. I don't think, did he have, that's such bad luck. There's Santiago picking up a 3-second time penalty. Eruption hunting down Larsen. We've seen this battle unfold already a little bit, and we're down to 18 drivers on lap 16. Here we go.
Scars now.
Up to us. You think he's also going to take Larsen here? He might even go for a lunge on Eruption. Very late on the brakes in comparison. A little bit of a love tap there for Tuptus on the rear of the Mercedes, and Hurricane and Swifty have had an exchange. And there's another issue for... Oh, that's Angel's car. Oh, Hurricane spun! Hurricane spun coming through turn 13.
And invisible damage on that Williams, but not great for him. Not great for his confidence either. Tuptus, well, it was crucial that he got through on Larsen. See whether he's got a run here for Eruption now. Eruption, no DRS as Larsen, he's crashed into the pit wall.
No way. That's huge. Where is he? That's a safety car. Larsen's in the wall of the pit lane. As you said, there he is. Hurricane's into the pit lane, and this is absolutely massive. We're on lap 17 with a full safety car deployment. Scars, Azir, and Eruption are your top 3 at the time of this deployment, but I have no idea how this is going to shake down now.
Well, surely now we're going to see a lot of drivers pit for soft. Swifty here in P5, he's going to have to. And this is bad news for him. He's sort of been a bit of a victim of his own success drift because he's so far ahead of all of his, other guys on these medium tires. He's now sort of all on his own without being able to pit under that safety car. He's already passed the incident. So for Swifty here, not coming out at the best time. Now we see whether the rest of these guys. Does Scars come in for soft? Does Azir follow him? Does Azir come in? If Scars doesn't, it's going to be very interesting. Softs, they should make it to the end of this race pretty comfortably. So definitely an option here. It's not really a risky strategy at all. It's just a case of, well, do we see it here? Do we see them roll the dice? Go for that gamble. We've got Husam right now in 10th place. He's on Sos, and he's set Strev. He could be first after all this if the driver's ahead of him pit. I don't expect to see, Pavel maybe come in, doesn't want a double stack, but even then, it's a risk to stay out if everyone else comes in. So we'll see what the Ferrari does, but Scars, he's approaching the pit lane. Does he come in? It might be a late move to try and fake Azir. And they're in. They're coming in for Sos. Eruption's staying out. Tuptus is staying out. Swifty, of course, is in. Ben's staying out. That opens up the door for Pavel. And Crampy, he's staying out to avoid the double stack. Mark's in. Striff, very, very dynamic here. This is going to be very, very interesting to see how this plays out. We're only going to have 4 drivers on the medium tires. We've got Ben here in a reserve capacity. Maybe, I don't know if there is communication there between the 2 Ferraris, letting Pavel here, the full-time driver, get a bit of a better strategy with those soft tires now. Obviously, a lot of traffic here. Scars, he's only behind Husam here in terms of soft runners, so not too bad for him. He's still got his rival in Azir right behind him, and for the championship, it may be good for Scars to be beating Azir. He needs to be ahead of him by a few more positions than this, so he needs to just sort of get ahead, hope that these medium runners maybe try and put Husam in between them before the end of the race, and hope that Azir finishes 3rd or lower. That's what the South African will be wanting. The Spaniard, he's got a lot here that he could do. Meanwhile, the guys staying out on mediums, particularly Eruption and Tuptus, wonder what's going through their head here. Not too long now to go, 10 laps, and we'll probably have we'll see whether the safety car comes in this lap. It might stay out one more. We've got Max O'Connor there, I do believe that is, in Sector 2. And we've got XTXP and Mammal all the way back in Sector 1. So they probably will extend the safety car for one more lap. Green flag racing on lap 20, you would anticipate. Huge shout out to everyone watching along at home. We really hope you're enjoying it. This has been a very, very action-packed race, and one that I've very much enjoyed commentating on so far. And a big shout out as well to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you're looking for a sim racing rig, wheel stand, that kind of thing, motion sim, be sure to check them out in the link in the chat, !NLR if you're interested. They're doing great things for the sim race community, and it would mean a lot if you could go and check them out. But right now, we're just waiting. I don't think we're going to see the Mercedes safety car here come in here, but it is just waiting there. And I think, yeah, we're going to see another lap here under the safety car strip. And, well, there's a lot of drivers with a lot of work cut out here.
It's been an absolutely cracking race to watch. It's definitely been one of the best. I think it's safe to say for the pair of us, it's definitely been one of the best United States Grand Prix I've had the opportunity to enjoy and commentate. I hope everybody in the chat is enjoying, and of course we've got the Tier 1 tomorrow, and what a setup this race is for that. Tier 1 coming through COTA tomorrow, and there's also some championship action going on there.
Yeah, I do believe Tier 1, under a few set of circumstances, I think the maths was still going on earlier today, but I think there is an opportunity there for the Ferrari of Paris to close out the championship with a few rounds to go. Obviously, it is dependent on where his rivals finish. I think there's two people that could be preventing that from happening, but definitely possible for the Ferrari, at least to give himself a very, very nice cushion going into Mexico next week. And that's when we really start to see championships being wrapped up. Constructors, they get finished out here. I don't know whether the constructors here, Alfa Romeo obviously running away with that right now. 361 points to Williams, 257. I think it's fair to say that one's pretty much done. As Jar Santiago and Swifty, don't know what's going on there. Apparently, according to the timing tower, they've exchanged. I don't know if there's anything going on here that shouldn't be, though. And everyone has rejoined their other safety car, so we should be going green on lap 20.
It's been a fun night of racing for everybody here, I think, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this. As yes, there it is, as you've called it, as we come through into Sector 3. The lights on top of that Mercedes safety car, they have gone out, and we are going to be coming in now. It is up to Eruption in that Mercedes to pace out this grid through into green flag racing. Eruption, Tuptus, and Ben, your top three, all on the mediums. Crampy in fourth, with Husam bringing out the top five on the softs, and the majority of the grid behind him on the softs as well. Scars is in a very good position to strike, given the fact that he does not have a penalty. Azir as well in a solid position. What a race it's been, and what a race we're about to see unfold here on this lap 20 restart. Eruption coming through now. I think he's already set himself away here. Yes, he has. We are away racing. We are green flag on lap 20. Who's had the best launch? Husam on the rear of Crampy right now. Those softs coming in already. And we're going to see a huge lunge out of Crampy, or excuse me, Husam. Oh my, I don't think that was on at all, and this has caused a huge concertina through the first turn.
Yeah, he's just trying to get out of the way there, and he's just scrambling through all the pack of cars coming through now. Mark, Atom, they're side by side. Atom penalty free right now. He could get a great finish here, especially after that, but very, very unfortunate for the Haas driver. Jar Santiago strip, he got past Azir as well in all of the confusion. So now Azir, he has someone in between himself and Scars, right behind his teammate. You expect this to be a pretty easy overtake for him.
Oh, I'm watching a huge battle right now between XTXP and Max O'Connor. I know this is going to be wild. Here goes Scars, his teammate. This is going to be a major exchange, as you've said, and he needs to get with Ben pronto. Ben pulling away 1 second here. Crampy, Yar Santiago up the inside. Yar Santiago. That is a huge move. Crampy dropping like a stone on these mediums. Look at Azir go. Azir around the outside, back through on the inside of 15. Crampy. Oh, we've had another yellow flag.
Crash. The XXP. He's off. I think it might have been something with Jean there, I'm not sure. But damage on the front of the Renault. Going back up to the front though, Crampy, he really needed to hold off Azir for the team game there. Hasn't happened. Now he's got Swifty all over the rear. I mean, you can just see why it was so important to get onto those softs.
Yeah.
When these guys did. Scars now side by side with Ben. These guys, well, they're not teammates here, but they are teammates if you look at their names there. Both SMM drivers, and well, it seems that seems to have held a bit of weight here. Ben not making it too difficult for the Alfa Romeo to sneak past the Ferrari now ahead of Yar Santiago and Azir.
USAM with a retirement in the pit lane. XTXP has jumped in as well, and he's going to be either retiring that car or fitting a fresh wing and tires, surely. There's a slight tap. Yar Santiago, Ben and Yar Santiago drifting through turn 9, now through turn 10. Still wheel to wheel, neither driver wanting to drop here. Azir says, I'm going to go through the inside on the pair of you, and he's going to go through that hairpin. Here goes Crampy.
Crampy's touched Ben, and they're around. And amazingly, they've saved it.
Oh,
but Azir now
my.
Home free on Scars. 2.4 seconds the gap though, Striff.
This race was just, it went from being cool, collected. We were watching trains and groups fight. Now with this restart, with this tire separation, penalty separation, all of these drivers are really, they've been revitalized potentially, thrown back out into the wild, and they are going to town.
Yeah, especially for those with penalties, they've got to climb. They need to make sure they're ahead of everyone else with penalties around them, because they know they could drop positions. Although it's only really Atta behind the people with penalties. Here goes Scott on Toptus, and he needs this move. Toptus, one of those drivers who just stayed out seemingly for strategic reasons, and well, he gets taken there. 1.6 seconds. Azir catching quickly. He does have Yar Santiago on his tail though, and if these guys fight like they are doing right now, well, like they were a minute ago, that could be bad news for the Spaniard. And we'll see whether he's able to catch his Scars. Well, he's doing well. Crampy, well, he picks up a 3-second time penalty. It's gone from bad to worse for him. He's out of the points, and it seems impossible for him now to score any. He needs another safety car, really, to have any hope. Scars on the rear of Eruption. I imagine he's going to get this move down into turn 12. You can see a little bit of a traction advantage coming out of turn 11. Not really forcing it, though. South African breezing by. ERS, DRS in deployment, and he gets up into first place on those soft compound tires. We'll see. Can Azir follow? He is down right now behind Eruption and Toptus, but he's got back within that DRS range. There's a bit of a split between Eruption, though, and the Racing Point behind, both of them on the medium. So a bit of an obstacle for Azir to tackle, but even if he gets second shift for the championship, that's pretty strong.
Yeah, really, and I don't think anything can stop Scars now except himself here. I don't think Azir has given us the performance and shown us that he can beat Scars here. I'm gonna say that right now. Scars setting that fastest lap. Scars has come through into such a solid form in this later stage of the season in comparison to how things went. Of course, my mind always drifts to Silverstone, where his car stopped abruptly coming out of Chapel. That's him. Ben now exchanging as we come through turn 1. Ben in 9th. Really wanting to hold off this Renault.
There's some huge penalties here right now. Yar Santiago Struff, he's rocking 27 seconds. Hurricane, he's got 15. Here goes Azir on Toptus. Up the inside into 11. Getting it just done before the DRS straight. He now will be free to close the door on Eruption here, whose Scars is already running away from.
Yeah, look at the speed that Azir just pulls away on Toptus. He is going to be very low on battery. Hurricane 50. Here goes Ben and Atom now. Atom on the inside. Right behind Max O'Connor dispatches Crampy.
Yeah, bad race for Crampy, and he'll be looking to forget this one before we move into Mexico. And Swifty here closing in on the championship. Don't think it's even possible for the Red Bull driver to claim P3. So Crampy safe in that regard, but for Alfa Romeo in the combined constructors, Crampy's been scoring great points all season for them. Just today, very, very bad day at the office for him. And uncharacteristic. It seems to be setup related as Azir gets on the inside of turn 1 on Eruption. And he is now in P2, 2.2 seconds. The gap, 4 laps remaining. And like you said, I don't think he's got the pace here to hunt down Scars there up at the front. The 2 racing points there. Very, very close right now. Yar Santiago on 7-lap-old softs with a huge host of penalties. I don't actually know whether we'll see him go for the move here. It seems a bit unnecessary to overtake your teammate at this point. Jean, well, he's got it quits in the pit lane. Just 4 laps on the end of this race in the Haas. That will give XTXP a free position there. Nothing changing in terms of points scoring. And bad day for both of the Hasses, who are now out of this race. Things calming down a bit as the racing point of Yar Santiago hunts his teammate down. Not going to get it there. Hurricane, not going to get it on Swifty either. Maybe Max O'Connor on Ben. We saw them exchange last time around. We're going to see them go side by side again. So it's Crampy. He got the move on last time, and he doesn't get it done on Ben this time around. There's mediums there, putting up a little bit of a fight, but you can see him. Max O'Connor's got a lot more traction, pushing with ERS around the outside now of turn 15. Can the Mercedes find a little bit of a squeeze to the outside from Ben? But that gives Max O'Connor the inside of the double right-hander, 17-18. They're still side by side. They're touching wheels, and amazingly, Ben still ahead here. Yar Santiago, he's shot like a stone. He's got a huge problem. He's been disqualified for too many penalties, Striff, I think.
Oh, my. Really?
He had about 30 seconds, so I think that is the case. And his car's just been pulled off to the side there. Very dangerous from the game to just pull a car off and stop it like that. But Max O'Connor, Ben, they're still side by side through Sector 1. Not something we're too familiar with seeing in terms of Yar Santiago's disqualification there. And Max O'Connor does take P9, but that is absolutely crazy. JA Games Freeware reminding us of Fraser in Singapore. Tier 1, he got disqualified for that, but here in the USA, a lot of drivers with penalties. No, Hurricane, he's on 18 seconds, Max O'Connor's on 15, but none of them close to the 30 seconds that have got Yar Santiago disqualified there. And I think, Striff, they were all 3-second infringements as well. I think he's picked up 10 warnings there.
He must have a favorite spot. He must have a favorite spot, surely, on the circuit that he's just kept going through. Ben? What has happened to him? He's through in turn 12. Looking the wrong way. What happened to him?
I don't know when it happened. There's been a lot going on. Azir picked up a 3-second time penalty. That's big news because he's not going to cost him to Scars. It might cost him to Tuptus, who right now is 2.3 seconds behind the Spaniard. And if he can hold on to that 3-second window, he's got Eruption in between him and the Williams driver. But if he can hold on there, Tuptus will get promoted not to P3, but to P2. He will jump both drivers. And we'll see how he goes right now. It's very much possible for him. The problem is he's on those mediums, so it's going to be difficult. But the softs will start to wear out a little bit. They might not get an advantage, the medium runners, but they might be a bit more equal in terms of pace. We'll see, though, he's got to push to make sure that doesn't happen.
XTXP retiring in the pit lane, and very up and down race for him. Of course, he mentioned to me ahead of things that he's getting used to a new rim. Swifty under threat from Hurricane here, just a touch, and we have a yellow flag for XTXP's car through Sector 1. Of course, if you're enjoying the race or you're looking to race, jump into the Misfits Discord, !Discord. You're more than welcome to sign up. We're going to have Season 5, of course, on F1 2021. And we have a lot of great stuff planned for the new release, and it's going to be a great chunk of league racing as we continue here at the Misfits community. So thank you, everyone, for viewing along. Rampy takes 3 seconds now. Watching Hurricane hunt down Swifty. We're on the penultimate lap of racing action. Scars, Azir, Eruption, your top 3 with Tuptus on the rear of Eruption, potentially holding on to a podium if he plays his cards right.
Yeah, I think it will just be a podium right now. He's dropped off of Azir's penalty range, so a little bit unfortunate there for the Racing Point, and maybe even more disappointing for the Alfa Romeo of Scars, who would probably be hoping that Tuptus does get P2, because that is great news in terms of championship battling. But right now, Tuptus, he should be able to hang with Eruption much easier given the tyre similarity there. We'll see how everything pans out. Pavel, Hurricane. You mentioned Hurricane is chasing Swifty, but he's also got to look in his rearview mirrors at the Ferrari of Pavel chasing him down. Pavel, he's had a pretty strong season, 45 points right now behind the Haas drivers, both of whom retired here. Some strong points here. Could really see him skyrocket even into the top 5 here, lunging up the inside of Hurricane. 4P6. He's got a penalty. Atom. It'll be interesting to see where he lands in all of this, because he might get a few positions here based upon penalties, as the Ferrari is still hanging on to P6. We'll see whether he can get past Swifty here. He needs to stay within 3 seconds. He's got less penalties than the Red by 3 seconds. So for him, still possible to inherit that position after the checkered flag is waved. And P5 right now, when he's in 7th in the standings right now. He's 6 points behind Jean. So this could be brilliant news for the Ferrari driver, obviously pending any post-race penalties for any of the drivers here. We're on the last lap here at Kota Striff, and we've said it all race long, but this has been very, very good as Max O'Connor. The action hasn't stopped at any point. The McLaren up the inside into turn 1. That's past the Mercedes, who might get a switchback here. A great run out of the corner. Not going to risk it around the outside of turn 2. Maybe up into the inside of turn 3. Backs out of it there. Smart racing from Max O'Connor there. Not going to risk anything. He's got 15 seconds of penalties. Realizes it's a little bit futile to battle that one, and you love to see someone just sort of taking their loss and not costing themselves, an incident that would potentially leave them with penalty points, hurt another driver's race, that kind of thing.
Definitely. Hurricane with the rear wing wide open on the rear of Pavel. Now, do we see anything from these drivers on the last ditch effort into turn 12? Pavel does not pull the trigger on Swifty. Hurricane so late on the brakes, closing himself as best he can here to maybe try and put himself in front of that Ferrari or even the Red Bull. What a race.
And for this man right here, it got a bit scary with that crash between Angel and Hennes ahead of him. But Scars still manages to find P1 here. A great race from him. He closes the gap to the Spaniard of Azir, who picks up P2. Eruption will cross the line in 3rd, but it's Tuptus who sits on the podium. His 2nd time. Last time we saw him, he won a race. This time, though, he's in P3. His 2nd ever podium. He'll be happy with that one. Eruption picks up P4. Atom promoted from the middle of this pack all the way up to P5. Pavel in P6 ahead of Swifty. He'll be happy with that result. See him move up in the championship, I think. Swifty 7th, Mammal in 8th. Crampy picks up some points here, Striff, and after the race he's had and the setup he had, 2 points for the Alfa Romeo. I don't think he'll be disappointed with that one.
What a race. And I agree with you 100%. No disappointment with that one, certainly. Scars, the race winner, the South African driver, the runner-up currently in this championship fight with, of course, Azir. And I said it earlier, and I'm going to say it again. I think we're going to see this one go straight down to the final race, given how this one went. And you just love to see campaigns like this and championship battles really intensify as the amount of rounds draw lower and lower. But there it is. Scars, he started on pole, he collects the win, 2 stops, a 131.975, his best run around the circuit of the Americas this evening. It was Azir. He started in 5th and he managed to get it into 2nd. Very nice drive from him, all things said and considered. He just maybe wasn't where we've seen him before in form wise, Unicorn, but he had a great drive. Tuptus, he started on the front row, he drops back to 3rd after Eruption crossed 3rd on track, but of course Tuptus securing him without any penalties for the Racing Point. Great drives from really everybody on this grid today. We look at TRT Adam there right behind Eruption. Eruption moved up 2 slots. Eruption, very nice drive in that Mercedes, 6-4. We had Adam right behind him with a mega drive, 15th to 5th for him over at Renault. Pavel, 7th to 6th for Ferrari. We had Swifty, 14th to 7th. great drives all around from everyone. And Crampy, he dropped a few positions here. He dropped 6th into 9th, and great race. And we're gonna have interviews in just a moment with the top 3. Of course, thank you so much everyone for hanging and watching the streams. We've got tier 1 tomorrow. We've got so much racing coming through to you this weekend, and if you're interested in staying up to date all of that, great way to do so is to follow us and check us out on the Twitter. And you can also find all of our content, all of our replays, as well as highlights on our YouTube channel. Now, with that being said, we're going to get ourselves some interviews here to get our drivers into getting the...
One thing there, Strift, that I saw on that closing screen, every point counts. I do believe the gap now closes to 32 points between Azir and Scars in that championship battle. If Scars had picked up that fastest lap, obviously you get an extra point for that. He missed it by 0.008 of a second. I think it was Jean in the Haas just stealing that away. Obviously didn't finish that race, but he takes that point away from Scars. And if Scars loses this championship by 1 point, that 0.008 could be very, very, very critical in the decider and things like that. And that's what you love about racing. The closeness. He obviously the first driver to get under 129 barrier in qualifying. But we're just waiting for those drivers to appear in the interview waiting room to try and get ourselves some interviews with the top 3. Obviously, Azir and Scars, we've talked to them plenty. 17 podiums between the two of them. Now, I do believe we've got 9 wins between the two of them, and bumps their total up to 19 podiums respectively. Well, I think that might have already been updated. So, and 19 podiums between the two of them now, and 9 wins between the two of them. 5 Azir, 4 for Scars. Pretty even there. Some bad luck elsewhere for Scars that have kept him from going in this.
All right, it looks like we have Azir with us now. Congratulations to Azir. What a race it was, and let me know in the chat if my microphone's a little bit too loud, as I just had a problem with it. But of course, Azir, congratulations on a very, very wild race. You started this one in 5th position. You managed to land it in 2nd, all things said and considered. You're in a very tight championship battle now with Scars, who took the race win today. How are you feeling after this one?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty entertaining race. But in the end, I couldn't fight Scars for the win. But anyways, I think 2nd place was the best I could do get today, and I'm happy with my overtakes and in general with my race.
It was a long race. We had a safety car there, and were you expecting to have any kind of dynamic with a safety car today? Were you prepared for that? What was the strategy coming in?
No, I just thought when the safety car comes off, I thought, well, if Scars beats, I have to beat too, because I'm fighting the championship with him. So just I copy his strategy, and then it was sad for me that I couldn't fight with him for the win. But yeah, I am happy with my race.
Well, congratulations, Azir, on another great race, and we'll look forward to seeing how you run through next week in Mexico.
Thanks.
Joining us now, Scars, our race winner here in the Tier 2 division. You have been having quite the run recently, sir, and now another race win for you. This really does put you into a good position to further your championship points total. Congratulations. I'm going to hand things to Unicorn, of course, but it's a solid run from you today. Very, very good drive.
Well, Scars, Striff said it. Congratulations. The run of form continues. It's again another race. We haven't seen you outside the top 3 since Hungary, back on the top step of the podium after P2 last week. How does that one feel for you?
Very good, because going into this race, A lot of other people in the tier were very quick, such as Eruption especially. He found some really good pace, and I was a bit scared going into it, but well, unfortunately for them, they didn't quite pull the laps out in qualifying, so got a really good quali lap in, and everything went really smooth. So I was really happy with the result. I thought this was gonna be more of a pad track, but seems like it wasn't. It was pretty balanced, so went really well. I'm super happy with it. And the championship gap is a little bit smaller, but still a long way to go in terms of that lead.
Yeah, well, we saw you in qualifying. You seemed the most composed out there. Obviously, qualifying around a track like this, where track limits are particularly difficult to adhere to. We saw, Azir didn't get a lap until late. Eruption, he invalidated his last attempt. You were the only driver to get under that 129 mark. Were you expecting more people to get into that 128? Range, or was that a bit of a surprise that, for yourself that you got there?
I had been doing 29 flats all through practice, and I've been bottling most of my last run, so improving that much on my last lap was really good and important to get pole. And yeah, I was pretty surprised. Eruption was doing really good laps in practice. I think he did like a 28.7 at some point, so I was surprised he was that far down. But yeah, it was important to just get every single lap in, make sure I didn't invalidate, and that's what I did. Went pretty well.
Yeah, and then obviously the race didn't have the best start off the line, but you got back into P1. Seemed to be controlling everything, had a very comfortable looking race pace. There was one moment though, and I'm sure this one sticks in your mind, where you had a couple of cars who were on a different strategy ahead of you, both come together through Sector 1. You managed to avoid it, but what was that moment like, seeing, I think it was Hennes and Angel, come together right in front of you? Did you see the race sort of crumbling apart, or did you manage to stay composed through that?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't say anything in the voice chat when I was with Crampy and the other guys, so I was kind of composed, I guess. But inside, I was kind of screaming. I was just hoping that I did not hit them. Luckily, there was a good amount of runoff on the outside, so I was able to just go off there. But yeah, it was a very stressful moment, but I got through it at least.
Well, Scars, it's your 7th podium in a row. Another win for your total. You said it yourself. You closed down that gap to Azir in the championship. 3 races to go. Good luck for Mexico next week. We'll see how you go around there. But, congratulations for another win. And thank you, as always, for coming and taking the time out to interview.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
What a race this was here around, of course, the United States, and what a great Tier 2 race we just got to witness. Now, I'll say Tier 1 has a very lyarge bar to now reach after that one, Unicorn, and tomorrow we'll get an opportunity to see that action once again at 8 p.m. East, not 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. BST, British Summertime, of course, and 9 p.m. for those of you in Central Europe. We will be back here for the Tier 1 racing here around the Circuit of the Americas, and joining me for that, Unicorn, of course. And I'm just really looking forward to all of the racing. We have the endurance race back. We have Baku. We have, of course, the APAC and Formula 2 racing on YouTube this weekend. And there's just so much happening that I am looking forward to coming through this week. And we have the real Formula 1 Grand Prix as well. Now, with that being said, Baku, really looking forward to that. We've got the Formula 2 coming through as well. And it's just going to be a great weekend. Unicorn, any last remarks before we head off and raid for the evening?
Well, that was just, you summed it up very well, Striff, but an action-packed evening of racing. Constant wheel action from start to finish. A VSC safety car, but even without that, the drivers, most of the racing was clean and tidy, and the action was beautiful. Like I said, fingers crossed we see a similar thing tomorrow. Thank you to everyone who has watched along at home. We hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. Just said we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place for Tier 1 action, which should be more of the same, just potentially a little bit quicker. But until then, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.